morning, OmRama.
Good morning. Welcome to Satsang.
So I have a few inquiries regarding the foundations of your teaching. But what most people would definitely ask is, what is Advaita Vedanta?
Well, it's very simple. Advaita Vedanta is a traditional Indian lineage that teaches non-dualism. I've been introduced to it by my master, and the inside of me, my soul, responded to it naturally. It was not so much my choice to follow it or not to follow it. For me, it was just simple. Advaita Vedanta is the only language that spoke to me ever. It made sense. Hence, I followed it. I explored it and I let it explore me. Over the years, I became devotional through that path. It taught me directly. The path of Advaita Vedanta doesn't have shortcuts, hasn't got rules, dogmas to follow. It simply just delivers directly from source, and I was privileged to be allowed to see how Advaita Vedanta can introduce me directly to God consciousness itself. That is to me Advaita Vedanta. Traditionally speaking, Advaita Vedanta is the teaching of non-dualism. Non-dual means not two, but one. A state that we are quite capable to embody as our natural self. In OmRama Satsang, it is not just necessity, but it is simple. Advaita Vedanta delivers directly to me, and I deliver directly to you. When I hear the word Advaita Vedanta, to me it is the beauty of directness, untinted.
And have you ever had any sort of brushing shoulders with Advaita Vedanta before you met your master?
Of course, I studied philosophies, I studied religions. You could say I have a bachelor degree in philosophy. I became a scholar. I was fascinated by spirituality, and I did my homework. Out of all the religions and spiritual paths, I resonated the most first with Buddhism, simply because of its compassion. But when I was introduced to Advaita Vedanta by meeting my master, it was like being outrooted all at once, or something like being dipped in the ocean and drowned in it, in a good way.
And what are the differences between non-duality and duality?
The very descriptions indicates that duality is always two. Black and white, hot and cold, good and bad. To Advaita Vedanta, duality is is a dream state. It has no relevance in reality. But to duality, Advaita Vedanta is just a subject of argument. Advaita Vedanta doesn't do that. It is a direct, non-dual path, means one, converted into a human experience, you could say. The human heart is not divided by God or to God consciousness. It has become one. So when Advaita Vedanta suggests itself to me first as a path, for many years I had to live by faith, because I too was a being bound to duality. But I trusted and followed and had faith in the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, till that became reality within inside of me. So yes, I have a reference point. I do, and I don't have any preferences. If any lineage, any religion delivers a clean, beautiful homecoming, I respectfully bow down. In my case, Advaita Vedanta has successfully brought me home. There is no more competition. I just worship the fact that I was able to come home, the privilege, the gratitude towards that makes it Advaita Vedanta precious to me. I do not think that Advaita Vedanta has to be seen as superior. It is just one path.
What distinguishes Advaita Vedanta and spirituality or New Age?
If I understand your question correct, there is no distinguishing. You're dreaming differences. So, for me to answer you this question, I have two options. I either answer you in duality or in oneness. In duality, the distinction is that you are dreaming and every path is dreaming is a dream state. Advaita Vedanta is the direct path of oneness. From my viewpoint of view, there is no distinguishing energy, nowhere. There is no duality at all. There is no dreamer, there is no dream state, there is nothing there. When you stop dreaming and have a direct experience of Advaita Vedanta, of non-dualism, spirituality drops altogether. You simply reconnected with your source, with your own soul. When your human heart reconnects in oneness with source, there's no more duality left. There's then no more distinguishing. All there is God consciousness. And you are that. But before you come home and not realize that in full, you always have a glimpse of duality left over. And then you can distinguish things. That is not my luxury or my reality. Whenever I get a spiritual question or a philosophical question, especially importantly for religious people sitting solidly with their trust and faith in a lineage. Buddhism offers lineages, Hinduism offers lineages. To me, it is not even about that. I understand how people have to have faith in the lineage. That is beautiful. The truth of the matter is, when you are brought home, all the way home, in abidance into God consciousness, that will open up a realization for you that you have no separation, no distinguishing, no duality at all. When a homecoming is authentic, oneness starts to become reality in the human heart. After that, it is very difficult for me to talk about religion or a path. Everything is the same. And everywhere I look is only God consciousness. But Advaita Vedanta is the lineage that's trying to teach that directly, as an emphasis. And I'm using the teachings that are based in Advaita Vedanta and kind of like letting them become a today's reality for spiritual people that come here, be helped also to come home. OmRama is not concerning himself. OmRama is not concerning himself. What religion you follow. I am concerning myself how you possibly can come home and reach your state of natural beingness. In fact, religion, spirituality is all secondary. Nothing is needed to come home. But coincidentally, that are also the teachings of Advaita Vedanta. Whenever I'm asked about a religious or spiritual lineage, especially Advaita Vedanta, I have two choices. One, it is very easy and simple to answer this black and white. I studied Advaita Vedanta. I can write a whole book to you about it if you like. But OmRama Satsang is not about that. You could say Advaita Vedanta is just the basics of a good structure, so that OmRama's teachings can land into a good container. The teachings that OmRama embodies, they are direct from source. I deliver them as naked and humble as I can. That means the teachings are direct. They don't have anything to do with Advaita Vedanta or with Buddhism or with any other religion. They have something to do to be God consciousness itself. So it is a paradox for me. On one hand, Advaita Vedanta explains to me my own homecoming. But every day I'm living as a very humble human being, just like you, eating, sleeping, going to the toilet. Humble and naked. In that there is no spirituality, there is no religion. There's just being a beingness, a human being. I personally don't believe in duality, not because I believe, but because I have the direct experience of oneness. Naturally, I teach that. In OmRama's teachings, there's only the direct transmission that delivers itself every day. Everything else, including the highest spiritual teachings of Advaita Vedanta becoming secondary. It is like they are not necessary in order for you to come home. This are OmRama Satsang teachings. This is how I stay tradition. I don't tint it. I don't make it new agey. I simply keep it simple, naked, direct. And that coincidentally is exactly what Advaita Vedanta teaches. But if Advaita Vedanta would teach something different than that, I would still just be OmRama's teachings, making everything else secondary. That is a wonderful good news, warm hope for all spiritual seekers that are so confused. Everybody is confused because in duality you're separate from God, from your own self. So belonging to a teaching, to a teacher, to a lineage does not change that. It does not help that. What helps it is for you to be reconnected with God consciousness, with your own self. And then you need a good teacher to help you to be that, to walk that as a human being. It's a very vulnerable affair. These are OmRama's teachings. You already know the truth. Everybody knows the truth. I have many spiritual seekers come here, full of truth. They know more than me, so to speak. But they wonder why they know so much and cannot be what they know to be true. This is why they come to OmRama Satsang. Subconsciously, they already know. They gone as far as they could. Then I meet them in their first satsang. And I say, yes, that's right. You already know the truth. If that would be enough, consciousness would allow you to already be what you know is true. When I am asked to summarize OmRama's teachings, I very often have one line arising. You know what you know to be true. Everybody does. But here I'm teaching how to be that which you know and love to be true. That is the difference